Good morning. Once and again, I welcome you to the lecture of Special Paper 4 Introduction to Literary Criticism. So, in this lecture, we are going to discuss the criticism of Victorian Age. We know that Victorian Age starts after the coronation of Queen Victoria to the throne of London. She ruled the British Empire from 1837 to 1901 till her death. So, Victorian criticism, it has its own unique peculiar features or characteristics. We have talked so far about the neoclassical criticism, classical criticism, then romantic criticism, and now we are going to discuss Victorian criticism. In Victorian criticism, we are supposed to study two critics. Before we could move ahead, before we could proceed towards the interpretation or understanding or analysis of the critical works of critics that have been prescribed for our syllabus, it is essential to throw some light on or focus on the characteristics or the features of Victorian age. So, the 19th century literature or criticism is characterized by battle of taste. In 19th century criticism, one could come across the battle between neoclassic, then romantic literature, romantic critics, and Victorian critics. So, it was the sort of battle of taste. As far as the neoclassicism is concerned, the age of Johnson or Pope is concerned, the focus was on reality, focus was on dignified style, focus was on poetic devices, focus was on charged diction. And against it, the romantic critics were against the neoclassical tradition. They revolted against the charged diction, they revolted against the excessive use of poetic devices. So, for them, the subject matter was important. For them, individualism was important. Expression of mind was important, and impressionism was important. So, this was the battle of taste. During the latter half of the 19th century, that is around 1830, so there was a subtle revolt against the norms or the standards of romantic literature, romantic criticism. In romantic criticism, as I already discussed, the focus was on emotions, passions, mind, free expression of mind, then individualism was important, impressionism was important. So, some of the critics of the Victorian age, they started to raise their voice against the excessive use of these things, and it started around 1830. We know that Victorian literature starts from 1832 till the 1901, which is the death year of Queen Victoria. In this period, many changes were taking place. Many social and economic changes were taking place, and these changes also affected the literary taste. So, literary taste also affected the criticism of the age. So, we have to keep in mind the advancement of science or industrial revolution. Economic and social changes were taking place, and these social changes were represented in the literature, and it directly or indirectly influenced the criticism of that age. Now, we are going to discuss what are the peculiar characteristics or the features of Victorian age. So, here are some features or peculiarities of Victorian age. The first one is crisis of culture and critique. In Victorian criticism, this is one of the commonest characteristics of the feature. So, there was a crisis of culture and critique. So, Queen Victoria came to the throne in 1837 and she ruled till her death, that is up to 1901. And it is the age of where many social and economical changes were taking place. Many scientific innovations were there, and it also changes the literary taste of the people, and indirectly it influenced the criticism of the time. So it is also the age of arrival of or the rise of capitalism and materialism. So remember, these two terms were not dominant in the earlier criticism, that is of capitalism and materialism. So there is the rise of capitalism and materialism in the age of Victoria because of lots of drastic changes were taking place in social and economical sectors. So the critics of this period believed that, they thought that it is a duty of literature to represent the closer view of life or to show the closer view of life. It should show the life nobler and better. So criticism must promote better understanding of cultural values. So in Victorian criticism, the focus of the critics was on cultural values. So there is a conflict, there was a crisis as far as the culture and critique is concerned, because earlier the focus was on passions and emotions. In Romantic age, focus was on impressionism, focus was on individualism, focus was on freedom of expression. Here the focus of the criticism, the critic believed that it is the duty of literature, or it is the responsibility of the critic to represent the life nobler and better, to show the life closer, show the criticism or the literature which is closer to life, and it should be related to the better understanding of cultural values. So next characteristic of Victorian criticism is the decay of Romantic tradition. Since the 1830, the year 1830, from the 1830 there was the trend which was going against the romantic criticism. No doubt the Victorian literature or the age of Victorian spans from 1830 to 1901, but latter half of the 19th century was the era or the age where the critics of the Victorian age, they started to raise their voice against the tradition of romantic criticism, as I discussed earlier. So in romantic criticism, the most importance was given to individualism, impressionism, passions, feelings and emotions. On the contrary, the critics of the Victorian age, they thought that passions, emotions, feelings are not so important. The most important thing is the morality. Most important thing is cultural values. So this is the age where the transition started to take place. So romantic tradition, that of expression of mind, expression of will, expression of passions and feelings was dominant, were changed by didactic or moral attitude of the critic or the writers. After that, next characteristic of Victorian age is, so Victorian criticism is not uniform. The third characteristic is that it is not uniform critical movement. So Victorian tradition or Victorian criticism is not uniform. It means that all the critics didn't express the same sort of opinions or thoughts. So there is no uniformity as far as the thoughts on criticism were concerned. The critics of the time like John Ruskin, Thomas Carlyle, Matthew Arnold, they voiced or they spoke about different types of criticism according to their thinking, according to their intellect. So there is a lack of uniformity, there is a lack of common principle as far as the criticism is concerned of the Victorian age. So it is not a union of, it is not a uniform critical moment, it is not spontaneous. Like a romantic criticism, it is not spontaneous, it is on the contrary derivative in nature. Then the critics of the time, the critics of the Victorian age believed that art and literature should cease to be source of beauty, happiness and freedom. So this is one of the most striking characteristics of the Victorian age. The critics of the Victorian period realized that they believed that just to represent beauty, happiness and freedom is not the work of literature or the criticism. So literature and criticism should stop to make the display of or to point out the beauty, happiness and freedom which was dominant in Romantic criticism. So literature should show moral and social issues. So once again we come across the point that is moral and social issues. The Victorian age where the critics or the writers gave importance to morality, they give importance to culture, they give importance to social issues. So to correct the people was the aim of the Victorian writers. They wanted people to make correct. They wanted people to follow the right path, the right way. And this was their aim. Instead of just pointing out or showing out the beauty, happiness and freedom, the literature should focus on making the life better, presenting the life nobler and making human beings correct one. It was their intention to stop human beings from following incorrect or unwanted way or path. Then the fourth characteristic of Victorian criticism is, or Victorian age, is that it has three pages. It has three stages. As it is written here, Victorian criticism passes through three pages. That is why it is said that it is not uniform. So these three phases are, the first page is of idealism. This page is from 1835 to 1860. The first page is called as the phase of idealism, and which is during the 1835 to 1860. So first page 1835 to 1860. This is the first page. So this page is called as phase of idealism. So Thomas Carlyle was the dominant critic in this age or in this period, that is from 1835 to 1860. So this phase is not noteworthy as far as the criticism is concerned, because the critics were not talented and intellectual to produce the notable literary work or literary pieces or criticism. So only Thomas Carlyle could be mentioned here in this page. The second phase of Victorian criticism is, it is also called as early Victorian or phase of idealism. The second phase is the phase of moral and objective criticism. So second phase of criticism during the Victorian age is named as moral and objective criticism, and which was between 1860 to 1880. So this is the second phase. So Matthew Arnold belongs to this phase, that is the second phase. We call it as moral and objective criticism. It is related to society. Social orientation can be found in this second phase, and it was also moralistic. So social values and moral values were considered important by the critic in criticism. In criticism, the focus was on social values and moral values during the second phase, and Matthew Arnold's criticism comes in this phase, that is 1860 to 1880. The first phase is the phase of idealism, 1835 to 1860. The third phase of Victorian criticism, it is called as aestheticism, and it starts from 1880 to 1900. It is the third phase, aestheticism. So Walter Pater can be mentioned here. He proposed the examination of impressions on readers. So what impressions of the literary piece can be felt by the reader, that was proposed by Walter Pater in the third phase. So these are the three phases or three stages of Victorian criticism. So next characteristics of Victorian criticism is it follows a classical tradition. So as far as the classical tradition is concerned, in classical tradition we know that the focus was on realism, focus was on truth, focus was on realistic aspect of life. So Matthew Arnold, as far as the criticism is of Matthew Arnold is concerned, he follows the classical tradition. So Arnold tries to follow classical tradition in his criticism. Arnold tries to relate beauty of life and literature. So Arnold in his works tried to relate or to show the association of beauty of life and literature, and he tried to relate the beauty of life and literature through reason. Reason is important for Arnold, and through reason he tried his level best to show or to relate the life and literature, beauty of life and literature through reason. Then Arnold also tries to maintain the balance between the modern and ancient. After that, we have to keep in mind Romantic criticism gave importance. The critics of the Romantic time or the Romantic age or Romantic period, they gave importance to passions and individualism. On the contrary, the moral values were important for Victorian critics. In this sense, they follows the classicals. Then the next characteristics of Victorian criticism is it is didactic. Didactics means related to morality. It is a moral. So it is a didactic. For the critics of the Victorian age, criticism is a tool for the advancement of society. For them, criticism is not just a matter of interpreting the literary work, but they give importance to the advancement of society. So they wanted to correct the human beings. They wanted to present the life better and nobler. They wanted to show that they wanted to observe the life closely. After that, we have to keep in mind. So in Victorian age, the criticism is considered as mediator of knowledge. So criticism was associated with knowledge in the Victorian age. As far as the neoclassical age is concerned and Romantic age is concerned, this characteristic is lacking. In neoclassical criticism was not associated with knowledge. On the contrary, it was associated with realism. On the contrary, it was associated with poetic devices. In Romantic age, the criticism was associated with passions, feelings, impressions and individualism. But in Victorian age, it is didactic. It is related with moral values of human beings. After that, the next characteristic is it provided certain standards. You can say here that the Victorian criticism, it provided certain standards or canon formation. We call it as canon formation. So Victorian criticism started canon formation in literature. The certain things were considered as standards as far as the evaluation of the literary works is concerned, like moral strictness, truth, objectivity, universality, intellectual pursuit, were the canon of criticism or the canon of literature. So literature was to be judged on the basis of these parameters which were laid by the Victorian critics. So they give importance to moral strictness, truth, objectivity, universality, and intellectual pursuit. Idealized notion of Englishness was interpreted. It was considered as the model. Englishness was considered as a model of criticism, not only in the English but also in colonized countries. So the concept of Englishness was dominant in that period. So from the point of view of Englishness, criticism was judged not only in London but also in the colonized countries.